Welcome to the Live Wide Open podcast. I'm your host, Randy B. Ramirez, also known as Wide Open Randy, and I'm here to lead you to become the best version of yourself. This show helps raise the bar for all the motorsport enthusiasts. Holding it wide open is just what we do. Being a great person is who we are, and living our lives to the fullest is the lifestyle that we choose. Man, today we're going to be talking about just we're going to really be diving into how to realign yourself so that you can course correct and really just get back to doing what you said you were going to do at the beginning of the fucking year, right? And the reason why I'm making this episode today is because talking to a lot of friends, seeing my peers, seeing others, a lot of people have fallen off, and even some have fucking forgotten the commitments that they said that they were going to hold on to at the beginning of the year, right? So I was like, you know what? Let's revisit that, right? It's the beginning of month two, right? We have another opportunity to realign ourselves, to course correct, to fucking put things into play so that this is the fucking year that we make things happen, right? Because if you don't put the action in, if you don't take the uncomfortable steps, if you don't realign yourself and see what it is that you fucking want, and then start taking the actions towards that shit will never come into play. That shit will never come into your life. That shit will not become a reality unless you start doing the shit that you said you were going to fucking do. Right? So, what I've learned is that there's really three phases of going through this, right? And so, I've taken it from my experience. There's plenty of times that I've said and I've committed, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Typically, always at the beginning of the year, and then shit happens and you fall off, right? So, what I've learned is first you need acceptance, then you need to make a new plan, then you got to just commit to doing the work, right? So, as we go through today's episode, let's start with this acceptance part. I feel like the acceptance one is one that a lot of people don't even bother going into, right? Like they're like, oh fuck, I fell off. Oh, I said I was gonna do this. Oh, I said I was gonna do that. Oh, and then they're like, all right, I'm gonna get back to it. But then they don't really self-assess. They don't realign themselves. They don't visit like the reason why it even happened in the first place, right? And so acceptance, right? It's all about you not beating yourself up, right? It's all about like accepting that you won't change what happened. Like you can't change what happened. It is what it is. We are here right now, right? And so we need to see what happened. We need to analyze it. We need to see why we fell off. And then we need to reassess how we can attack and realign ourselves with this thing that we say that we really want to do. Because is it really important to you, right? Like, if it isn't, then we're not, whatever. This episode might not really vibe with you, right? But if you have things that you want to accomplish this year, right? If you have action items, if you have things that you committed to at the beginning of January, right? When you were all hype, when you were on the mood, oh, this year I'm going to do this year I'm going to do that, this year I'm going to do that. Well, where are you with those things, right? Right? Are they really important for you? Or are you just some fucking hype and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm just saying this and this, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to do shit, right? Fuck that. We're action takers around here, right? So first and foremost, let's accept that we fucking dropped the ball and we kept going, right? Let's accept. Let's not beat ourselves up, right? We can't change the situation. It is what it is. Now what we need to fucking do is see what lesson can we learn from what happened, right? Like why did it happen, right? How did it happen, right? When exactly was the time that you stopped giving a fuck, right? Because man, it's so common, especially at the beginning of February, when you talk to people and they're like, yo, what is it that you had, what were your New Year's resolutions, what is it that you had planned for this year, what were your goals, what were your targets? And even not so much, this one is even more common. Like you ask people for the year, right? And they're like, oh yeah, fuck, I don't really remember. You ask people what did I had to do for the quarter, and it's like, oh, I don't know. Like, and the reason why I say that is because, right, you take a fucking game plan that you want to attack in the year, and then you gotta, split it up into 4 quarters. Like I'm not big into sports. I'm big into motorsports, but in sports like football, all that shit, you have 4 quarters, right? And so you split things up. And so just similarly, I like to visit and attack my year in 4 quarters, right? So back to being in the mode of acceptance, back to seeing what lessons could we learn from what happened, right? I want you to really analyze that. I want you to ask yourself the hard questions. I want you to think back to the specific fucking moment that you fucking fell off, right? What happened? What were you feeling that day? Why did you give up, right? Like, and more times than not, it was really because you just didn't find that much importance in what you wanted to achieve, right? Or maybe you thought that is not achievable for you, right? And that's a core issue that you need to address, right? Is it an internal belief system, right? Is it that you think you just don't have the capacity for it, right? Because if it is, then you got to work on expanding your capacity. You got to work on building your skills. You got to work on whatever it is. You got to see what is the core issue of why it happened, extract that fucking lesson, and then learn from what happened, and so that you can apply it to this next time, right? Because man, I don't want fucking March to come around here, right? And then March comes, and then I'm doing another episode about, yo, what happened to your goals? What happened to your plans? What happened to your commitments? What happened? You're like, oh, I don't know, man. I just fucking fell off again. Fuck that. No more of that shit, right? We need to get in the mindset, in the frame, in the action plan of every quarter we assess, right? And so, fuck assessing, like establishing why we fell off. No, no, no. Every quarter we need to see how we moved forward, how we made things happen, what actions did we take, what worked, what didn't work, right? And so we can do that quarterly, right? And so I hope that this episode fires you up. I hope that it sparks something inside of you so that you can fucking get back to crushing it, right? So you can get back to doing the things that you really said that you wanted to do this year, right? Right? You got to lean in. You got to feel uncomfortable. It's gonna be hard, right? If it was easy, everybody would fucking be doing this shit, right? So acceptance, right? Stop beating yourself up. You can't change what happened. Look for the time when you fell off, and then see what lessons can you grab from what happened, so that you can make sure that you address those issues, so you can attack it at the core, so you can see the foundational elements and put those motherfuckers into play so that it won't happen again, right? And so as we move on, as we move forward, right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a new plan, right? We're going to make a new plan because obviously the plan that you had in January when you're all hyped, maybe you were just in the moment, maybe it was at a New Year's party, oh, I'm going to do this, and you're all hyped. And typically what happens is when you're on your emotions, when you're in this a spiritual high of just feeling in the moment, you're like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then the minute that you fucking not in that same state, in the minute that you're not in that same frequency, the minute that you're not in that same fucking just a mindset, you're like, man, it's not that important. I don't know if I can do that. Man, I don't know what I was thinking. Fuck that shit, right? So let's reestablish that, right? So let's make a new plan, right? So what is the number one goal you have for this year, right? Think about that. And I always like to put it that way, right? Like, you have long-term goals, you have short-term goals, you have midterm goals, like, but let's talk about in a year, right? A lot can happen in 1 year, right? What is the number one goal that you have for this year, right? Think about it, right? Why is it important for you, right? Just think and believe like limitless, right? Like, it has to be a smart goal too, right? You got to be, it has to be, um, um, fucking the acronym just slipped my mind, right? Smart meaning specific, measurable, achievable, relatable, and time bound, right? So for this year, what is the number one goal you have for this year, right? And then when you have that fucking goal in your mind, when you've written that down, this year I commit to doing this, right? We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna break that down into 4 phases, like I was saying, one for each quarter, right? The reason why we're gonna break it down into 4 phases is because we're gonna make it manageable, right? We're gonna make it, we're gonna put some milestones along the way to this year to make sure that we stay, on track, that we stay aligned with what we're doing, right? And then breaking that down even more, right? You go ahead and you take that quarter, right? And then you break the quarters down into months. And what happens is that these months become checkpoints that you hit along the way. And the reason why these are important checkpoints because, man, a lot can happen in one quarter. Actually, a lot can happen even in 1 month. Just think about it. We're here in February, the beginning of February, and we're talking about what happened at the beginning of January, and you fell off. These commitments that you made to yourself, you know, you didn't fucking accomplish them. You didn't do them. It is what it is. We're here where we are. We're establishing a new phase, a new plan, a new things that we're gonna actually, take action on, right? So this is important. Why we have to check in with ourselves every month, right? They become checkpoints along the way. And even so, excuse me, break that down into weekly targets that you gotta hit, weekly actions, weekly steps that you gotta take, right, to get to that month, right? And then I hope you could see the pattern, right? We take the year goal, we break it down into 4 phases, which are quarters. Every quarter you have a new chance to realign yourself, to course correct, to make shit happen. And in those 4 quarters, each one is broken down into months, which become checkpoints to hit to make sure that we're along the way. And then within those months, you break those down into weekly actionable steps that you're going to hit, weekly targets, right? I've been religiously about that. I have a meeting with myself about my goals, about what I'm achieving, about what I'm doing every single Monday morning, right? And so in that weekly meeting, I see what are my actions? What did I accomplish? What didn't I accomplish? Am I on track to hit my goals? Am I on track to hit my checkpoints? Am I on track to hit that next target for this quarter that I'm after, right? And then within that meeting, I establish the task that I'm going to do each day, right? And so each morning I revisit that. I look at it quick, right? I do it on Monday. I spend about an hour going through that plan and I'm reassessing and how I'm going to take action that week, what's important, right? And then each day I glimpse it, I open it up before I start my day and I say, what are the fucking important things that I have to do today? And then more so, I break that down and I go, what is the one thing today that I need to do in order to get me closer to this goal that I'm at, right? And then, and I know it sounds very simple, right? But if you commit to doing the unsexy work, right, like this for a long time, I didn't meet with myself, right, on a weekly basis. But the funny thing about it was in business, when I was at work, we'd have these weekly meetings, we'd have assessments. In business, you have this. In business, you have quarterly checkpoints, right? You check your profits and losses, which are called P&Ls, and you see where the business is going, how things are doing. Excuse me. When you start doing this with yourself, it really becomes a game changer in your life, and you really start achieving the things that you want to fucking do. And if you're not, if you're doing it and you're not, you're slipping the ball, you're dropping the ball, however the fuck you say it, you're like, yo, there's only going to be so many times that you sit down in that meeting and you're like, yo, I didn't do this. Yo, I didn't do this. Yo, I didn't do this. And then it comes to a point where you're like, yo, what the fuck? Why am I not showing up for myself, right? And then you get fucking aggravated, right? Get disturbed with you not taking action. Like, make it a fucking habit that when you see yourself falling off, when you see yourself not taking action, when you see yourself and you look at that list of things that you want to do and you're like, man, today I was supposed to do this, or this week, by the end of the week, we were supposed to hit here, and I'm not going to hit that. Get disturbed with that shit. Get pissed at yourself, right? Do whatever it needs to do in order to get on track so that you can show up every single fucking day, right? And then how do you submit? How do you commit to showing up to every single day? Well, you fucking commit to doing the fucking work. You understand that it's gonna be hard. You understand that it's gonna be challenging. You understand that there's days that you're not gonna want to fucking do it, right? You gotta understand that, and you gotta put your feelings aside. You gotta say, "Fuck my feelings. This is more important. This is my goal. Follow the fucking plan." Right? But you need to be able to have a plan so that you can say, "Yo, I'm not feeling it today. It doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck. These goals are more important to me. What is on the plan for today? How are we gonna execute this?" Right? Right? And then as you say that, right? As you commit to doing the fucking work, I want you to think about what it has cost you up until now for you not showing up for yourself, right? And the reason why I want you to think about that question is because I want you to get fucking disturbed. I want you to get like pissed off for everything that has cost you for not showing up. Just think about it. If you would have showed up, man, if you would have done this, like think about like how many times you say you were gonna do something, you didn't fucking do it, right? Like, would you would have fired yourself by now? Like, if you were your own, just pull yourself out of that, right? Look at it from a 50,000 foot level. If you were looking at yourself, how you're showing up for your life, for your being, for your balance, for your business, for your relationships, for your health, like how are you showing up in all those areas, right? Would you fire yourself? Right? Because I know for a long time I would. right? Even to this day, man, this is why I've made it a non-negotiable for me to show up for 1,000 days, because I'm engraving this shit into who the fuck I am, right? And so ask yourself, what has it cost me up until now for me not fucking showing up, right? Get disturbed with that shit. Write it out, right? And look at it and you're like, yo, this is what I fucking have to give up. This is what could have accomplished, right? This is what it has cost me, right? And then after that, I want you to ask yourself, why? Because if you cannot put a why to this, if you cannot put a purpose to this, if you cannot say, this is why this is a non negotiable for me, then when it gets hard, you're going to give up. When it gets challenging, you're going to fucking put it aside, right? When you're not feeling it, and more times than not, you're not going to be fucking feeling it. You're not going to show up. You're not going to do the work. You're not going to lean into being uncomfortable. You're just going to fucking just let on by and be like, tomorrow. And then tomorrow's going to be, tomorrow. And then tomorrow, that day after, next week. And the next week turns into next month. The next month turns into next quarter. And before you know, you're like, yo, what the fuck? What this whole year happened? Oh, no. 26 is my year, right? 2026. This is my year. Fuck that shit, bro. Now, let's course correct. Let's put it into play. 2025. This is month 2. Here is when we put in the fucking work. The things that you do now, the shit that we put into play, you realizing why this is a fucking non-negotiable for you is what will make this year different, right? And so, we accepted what happened. We are where we are. We did it. We're not going to beat ourselves up anymore. But we created the lessons that we learned from it. We made a new plan. We established that plan, and we divided it from year to quarters to monthly checkpoints to each week. We're going to have a check-in with ourselves, and then each day we're going to revisit that and see what is the first thing, what is the most important thing we're going to do today, and then we're going to commit to doing the work, right? We're going to think about what it has cost us. Then we're going to think about why this is a non-negotiable for us, and then what I want you to do, and man, this is a game changer for me, because I like cars, I like motorcycles, what I do is I set a prize, right? That I give myself, that I earn, and I don't just go get this fucking prize if I didn't earn it, right? So what is something that you can gift yourself, right? When you accomplish this goal, right? At the end of the year, right? You're gonna have something you're working towards, right? It's kind of be like a little carrot you're gonna dangle for yourself, right? And you're gonna revisit this when you don't want to do it, when you're feeling it, when you're not feeling it, when you're like, today I'm not going to show up. You're going to think about, yo, is this type of thinking, is this type of belief system, is this type of me not showing up going to get me closer to earning that prize, right? And more time than not, it's going to be no. And you're going to be like, oh, hold on, I really want this shit, right? I really want this in my life, whatever it is for you, right? So you got to have this thing that you're working for, right? And so I know I asked you a couple questions. I know I listened, but one of the most important things here that you can have that has been the biggest game changer in my life is after you set all that up, right? Because the hardest part is actually just showing up, right? You could create the plan, you can say your why, you can make it a non-negotiable, you can set up the price, but if you're not showing up to do the daily tasks, do it how you said you were going to do it, you're not gonna, it's not gonna make the progress. You're not gonna do the work. And for me, what has helped the most is bringing someone on board, right? That will hold me accountable. So my question for you today is, who can you bring on board that can help you, that can hold you accountable to the things that you're saying you want to do, right? Right? Who can you bring on board? It could be a coach, it could be a mentor, it could be a friend, it could be someone. It has to be someone that's going to hold you accountable, that has skin in the game to do, that wants to see you shine, that wants to see you thrive. Someone's going to call you out when you're not showing up, right? Who can you bring on board that will hold you accountable, right? And then my challenge for you really is just to reach out to that person today. Like, I promise you that if you tell them, yo, I wanted to achieve this, I want to do this, and if there's someone that care about you, if there's someone that are meaningful, and if you don't have that in your life, look for a coach, look for someone that can mentor you, look for someone that could really, you could bring on into your life that could take things to the next level, right? And so reach out to them today, right? Bring them on board with your new plan and help them help you become more accountable in your life. That's how you make things happen. That's how you show up, right? So I'm gonna leave you with a final thought, right? And really, the final thought is, an inch of movement will bring you closer to your goals than a mile of intention, right? And so what that means is that, you can only move an inch, but it was still going to bring you way closer than a fucking mile of intention. Oh, I'm going to do this, 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 I'm going to do this. And at the end of the day, you didn't do shit. but you only move an inch, that inch is going to be more movement than all the fucking intention that you had in the world, right? So the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing the work, my friend. Let's get to fucking work. Yo, I'm driving the checkered flag deep into the ground and I'm calling all the motorsport enthusiasts who want to improve their situation. Let's break free from all the shit that's been holding us back and let's become the badass motherfuckers that we're all meant to be. Breaking the stereotype is exactly what we're here to do. This movement is called Live Your Life Wide Open, and helping others level up is the mission that God has tasked us with. If by any chance you still haven't subscribed yet, man, go ahead and smash that button so you never miss another episode. And if you connected with today's message, if you resonated with today's message, if you have some goals that you're trying to achieve, that you're gonna achieve, that you're gonna make things happen, then fucking make this an accountable message for you, right? Do me a favor, post this on your story, and make sure that you tag me so I can help you, hold you accountable, because those are the actions that help more gearheads to see and really hear about this podcast. And ultimately, that's how our community grows. Don't forget to tag me, Wide Open Randy. I'll catch up with you on the next episode. But till then, live your life wide open, my friend. Peace.